As soon as the newlyweds returned from their honeymoon, the young bride called her mother, who lived a couple hours away. "How did everything go?" her mom asked. "Oh, Mother," she began. "The honeymoon was so wonderful, so romantic. We had a terrific time. But Mother, on our way back, Andy started using really horrible language. Stuff I'd never heard before. Really terrible 4-letter words. You've got to come and take me home, please, Mother," the new bride sobbed over the phone. "But honey," the mother countered, "what 4-letter words?" "I can't tell you, Mother, they're too awful. Come get me, please." "Darling, you must tell me what has gotten you so upset." "Tell Mother what 4-letter words he used." Still sobbing, the bride said, "Mother, words like dust, wash, iron, cook." A man goes to a female dentist to have a tooth extracted. She pulls out a large syringe to give him an anesthesia shot. "No way, no needles, I hate needles," the man exclaims, so she starts to hook up the nitrous oxide tank. And the man says, "I can't do the gas thing either. Just the thought of having a mask on my face suffocates me." The dentist then asks the patient if he had any objections to taking a pill. "No," he says, "I'm fine with pills." So the lady dentist gives him 2 little blue pills and he swallows them. "What are those?" he asks. "Viagra tablet," she calmly replies. "Well, I'll be damned," said the man. "I didn't know Viagra tablets work as a painkiller." "It doesn't," said the dentist. "But it will give you something to hold on to when I pull your tooth." A guy goes to the supermarket and notices an attractive woman waving at him. She says hello. He's rather taken aback because he can't place where he knows her from. So he says, "Do you know me?" To which she replies, "I think you're the father of one of my kids." Now his mind travels back to the only time he's ever been unfaithful to his wife and says, "My God, are you the girl from my bachelor party that I made love to on the pool table with all my buddies watching and cheering?" She looks into his eyes and says calmly, "No, I'm your son's teacher." A crusty old sergeant major found himself at a gala event. There was no shortage of young, extremely beautiful models in attendance, one of whom approached the sergeant major for conversation. She said, "Excuse me, Sergeant Major, but you seem to be a very serious man. Is something bothering you?" "Negative, ma'am," the sergeant major said. "Just serious by nature." The young girl looked at his awards and decorations and said, "It looks like you've seen a lot of action." The sergeant major's short reply was, "Yes, ma'am, a lot of action." The young girl was tiring of trying to start up a conversation, but didn't want to just leave the sergeant major, who she found oddly attractive. She said, You should lighten up a little, relax and enjoy yourself." The sergeant major just stared at her in his serious manner. Finally, the young girl said, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but when was the last time you had sex?" The sergeant major looked at her and replied, 1955. Surprised, she said, "That long? Well, let me make your night better," and the two sauntered away to a private room. The woman stripped and the two made passionate love for an hour. The woman cuddled up to the Army veteran afterward and said, "Well, you sure haven't forgotten anything since 1955. Sergeant Major looked at her confused and said, "Well, I sure hope not. It's only 21:30 now." A man had been drinking at the bar for hours when he mentioned something about his girlfriend being out in the car. The bartender, concerned because it was so cold, went to check on her. When he looked inside the car, he saw the drunk's buddy, Pete, and his girlfriend going at it in the back seat. The bartender shook his head and walked back inside. He told the drunk he thought it might be a good idea to go check on his girlfriend. The drunk staggered out inside to the car, saw Pete and his girlfriend entwined, then walked back into the bar laughing. "What's so funny?" the bartender asked. "That damn Pete," the drunk laughed. "He's so drunk he thinks he's me." A guy goes to the doctor for a checkup and gets bad news. "You've got a rare disease and you've only got 6 months to live," the doc tells him. The patient is incredulous and tells the doctor he's going to get a second opinion. He finds another doctor a few days later, and after a battery of tests, the doctor gives him the same bad news. The patient is in shock and asks if there's anything he should do. The doctor pauses a moment and says, "Can I give you some non-medical advice?" "Sure, anything, doc. I'm desperate." "Do you have a girlfriend?" the doctor asks. Nope, been single for years, says the patient. Well, says the doctor, I encourage you to find a girlfriend. Go shopping with her. Listen to all of her complaints and problems. Get involved with everything she does and completely immerse yourself into her. I mean, every aspect of her you can. The patient perks up and is feeling hopeful. Will that extend my life? No, says the doctor, but it will be the longest darn 6 months you've ever had. A blonde walked into an electronics store and said to the salesman, I want that TV. The salesman shook his head and said, No, we don't sell to blondes. So the blonde left and came back with her hair dyed brown and said, I'll take that TV. Again, the salesman said, No, we don't sell to blondes. So she left again and came back with her hair dyed black and said, I want that TV. But the salesman still said, No, we don't sell to blondes. Finally, the blonde got fed up and said, That's it. How did you know I was a blonde? The salesman answered, Because that's a microwave. A very distinguished lady was on a plane arriving from Switzerland. She found herself seated next to a nice priest whom she asked, Excuse me, Father, could I ask a favor? Of course, my child. What can I do for you? Here's the problem. I bought myself a new sophisticated hair removal gadget for which I paid an enormous sum of money. I have already gone over the declarations limit and I'm worried that they will confiscate it at customs. Do you think you could hide it under your cassock? Of course I could, my child, but you must realize that I cannot lie. You have such an honest face, Father. I'm sure they will not ask you any questions. And she gave him the hair removal. The aircraft arrived at its destination. When the priest presented himself to customs, he was asked, Father, do you have anything to declare? From the top of my head to my sash, I have nothing to declare, my son, he replied. Finding this reply strange, the customs officer asked, And from the sash down, what do you have? The priest replied, I have there a marvelous little instrument designed for use by women, but which has never been used. Breaking out in laughter, the customs officer said, Go ahead, Father. Next. Three guys are sitting in a bar. Suddenly, the first guy's phone rings. He immediately answered it, then without saying anything, he ran out the door only to rush back. Quickly throws $10 bills on the bar while muttering, Damn, I forgot to do the dishes. My wife's on the way home. Then he ran faster than before. The second guy chuckled. Take a look at that. You know, around my house, I call the shots, he says as he got up and took out his wallet to pay for his drink. The moment I enter the house, when I clap my hands twice, I got hot water immediately prepared for me. Then he proceeded walking towards the door. I hate washing dishes with cold water. All this while the third guy still silently enjoying his drink, taking each sip calmly with a satisfied look. The bartender said, Well, sir, I guess you have your life well in order compared to those two. You are the master of your domain, right? The guy smiled and replied, I don't mean to brag, but last time I talked with my wife, she was on her knees, all fours even. What did she say? The bartender asked. The third guy sipped his drink and said, Well, she said if I'm really a man, then come out from under the bed. A man and his wife check into a hotel. The husband wants to have a drink at the bar, but his wife is extremely tired, so she decides to go on up to their room and rest. She lies down in the bed when, suddenly, an elevated train passes by very close to the window and shakes the room so hard that she's thrown out of the bed. Thinking this must be a freak occurrence, she lies down once more. Again, a train shakes the room so violently she's pitched to the floor. Exasperated, she calls the front desk and asks for a manager. The manager says he'll be right up. The manager is skeptical, but the wife insists the story is true. Look, lie here on the bed and you'll be thrown right to the floor, she tells him. So he lies down next to the wife. Just then the husband walks in. What? He says, What are you doing here? The manager calmly replies, Would you believe I'm waiting for a train?